College students and a Roth IRA. Hey everyone, Adam Bergman here, tax attorney and founder of IRA Financial. Today's podcast, I'm going to explain to you the benefits and tax advantages of doing a Roth IRA for a college student. Why? Because Roth IRA is maximized based off the power of compounding returns. The Roth IRA is the best legal tax shelter out there, and in order to take advantage of it, you need three things. You need to start as young as possible. College is the best place. You need to have great habits and keep doing Roth contributions for many, many years. And you got to be patient and trust the process. So the best thing about starting a Roth IRA in college is you're young. And generally, that's kind of when you start having your first job. Why? Because in order to do a Roth IRA, you need to have income. You can't be just a student and drink beer all day. You actually have to work. And working at college is not a job. It actually is where you work for a third party that you provide a service or sell a widget, whether you have your own business or you are working at the local restaurant. You need to have compensation for services, whether it's 1099, W-2, or the like. So the Roth IRA for 2024, you can put away $7K if you're under 50, $8K if you're over 50. If you are watching this video or listening to the podcast before April 15, 24, you can still do 2023 contributions for 23 up to April 15, 2024. And that was $6,500 if you're under 50, $7,500 if you're over 50. But since this podcast is about college kids, we're going to focus the under 50 amount. So anyone can do a Roth IRA, except if you're single, make more than $161,000, or you're married, file jointly, and make more than $240,000. And even if you surpass those thresholds, there's something called the backdoor Roth IRA that will let you make Roth IRA contributions, even if you make more than those figures. For college students, I don't know any college student that's making more than $161,000 single. So I don't think we have to worry about those income limitations. The best way to understand the power of the Roth IRA and why it's so important to start young is through examples. And I'm just going to throw some numbers at you. This is from a Roth IRA calculator, and this will explain why starting young is so important and why the Roth IRA makes so much sense. So let's say you're 18 years old, you put away $2,000, okay? And let's say you just put away $2,000 from 18 to 70, meaning you don't put any more money in, just $2,000 a year. Even when you hit 30 or 40 or 50 and you make a lot more money, you're still only putting in $2,000 a year. So 18 to 70, $2,000 a year, that's it. 8% rate of return. You'd have $1.34 million at age 70. Okay, it's only $2K a year. Now, let's say instead of 18, you started at 28 and did the same thing. You'd only have $608,000. Okay, so you basically lost more than 50% just because you started 10 years too late. So let's say instead of 18, you started at 20, same amount, 2,000. You'd have 1.14. So you lost $300,000 by starting 2 years too late. That's why it is so important to start young, and that's why starting in college, assuming you have some compensation for services. That's why I'm showing you 2K. I'm not expecting someone who's a freshman, sophomore in college to put away 5K a year. That's a lot, right? You got to live, right? You got to pay for school and food and not beer because you're under 21, but there's other stuff to spend money on. We all know. So that's why I'm trying to stay with 2,000. But let's say you're able to go to 3,000, right? You start at 18 years old, $3,000 a year till 70, assuming an 8% rate of return. And again, $3,000 every year. So you're not even increasing it as you start making more money when you're 30 or 40 or 50. 3K a year, 18 to 70, you're going to have a grand total of $2 million, $2.013 million. Okay. That's at 18. If you started that same amount, 3,000, you started at 21, 1.59 million. Okay, so you basically lost $400,000 just because you started 3 years later. That's it. Matters. Why? What does this teach you? Compound returns, the power of deferral. Your money grows faster without tax. Every 8 years, assuming an 8% rate of return, your money will double. So starting early, being consistent. That's why I keep using 2,000 or 3,000 every year. Even if you're in your 30s or 40s, you make more money, still try to put away at least the minimum amount you started with. If you can go higher, even better, your numbers are going to increase. I'm just showing you worst case scenario, most conservative outlook. $3,000, $2,000 a year from 20 years old or 21 till 70, 8% rate of return, which is actually conservative, right? The S&P 500 over the last 100 years has averaged 10% a year. So I'm just saying 8% a year. That means some years you may do 30% or 20% or 12%, and some years you may lose or have 0 or 1%. But over a 30, 40-year period, you're going to get 8 to 10% guaranteed. Even if you're just doing S&P 500, basic conservative investments, you will be in that range. So we know kind of what you're going to have. You don't need to hit home runs. You don't need to even, invest in sophisticated investment funds or do exotic investments or even do cryptos or really be aggressive. You could just stay super conservative in ETFs, S&P 500, spiders, just super conservative stuff. You don't need NVIDIA or Amazon or the big 7. Start young, right? Start at 19, go $3,000 a year to 70, 8% rate of return. You're going to have $1.86 million. That's at 19 to 70, $3,000. If you're able to do 3,500, $2.1 million, right? Let's say you're 18, you do $3,000 a year, but instead of an 8% return, you're getting a 10% rate of return, which again is doable, $4.2 million. Okay, so what is this telling you? 3 things. Start young, 18. You try to put in as much as you can. I'm saying $3,000, and I'm saying just be consistent. Don't even do more when you're 30 or 40 if you don't have to. You don't want to. Just stay consistent. Push when you're younger, but just be consistent as you're older. And if you can get a strong return, which is why a lot of people do alternative assets like in their IRA to get higher, stronger returns, your portfolio value will increase significantly. So you see the 10% gets you from, so if you had 8%, 18 years old, $3,000 a year, stop at 70, 8% rate of return, you have $2 million. If you had a 10% rate of return, $4.2 million. 9% rate of return, you're going to have $2.9 million. Okay, so rate of return does matter. It matters less than starting and obviously putting in money. You can get a 20% rate of return, but if you're putting $1 in, it's not going to move the needle. So I'm trying to stay reasonable. I don't expect 19-year-old kids to put away $6K a year. I'm saying $2,000 is doable, right? That's $6 a day. It's doable. $7 a day. It's doable, assuming you work, right? Obviously, again, if you're in college and you're drinking beer and having a great time, that's good. I got nothing wrong with that. No disrespect. But if you are able to work, think about instead of blowing it on a Cancun vacation, if you can take just a little bit, $6, $7 a day, $50 a week, $45 a week, and just put it into an IRA, that $2,000, $2,500 a year, if you just do that and just consistently just put away $2,500, $3,000 a year till you retire at age 70, just don't even think about it and just invest in something hopefully that does well. But even if you're just doing S&P 500, you're going to have $2, $3, $4 million at age 70, literally for doing nothing, tax-free. The beauty of a Roth, should have said this up front, once you're 59 and a half, the Roth's been open 5 years, everything is tax-free, right? So that means whatever you pull out is tax-free, never pay $1. So you don't get a tax deduction for what you put in, but a $2,000 tax deduction, whatever. Let's say your tax rate's 25%, it's 25% of 2,000. So it's not that significant. But so long as you're 59 and a half, Roth's been open 5 years, everything you pull out tax-free. So if you're in college, you're making a little bit of cash, please, please, please consider investing and saving through a Roth IRA, not a traditional. Tax deduction is not as valuable. Roth, just be consistent, trust the process, make good habits and put money in every year. Don't pull it out before 59 and a half. You'll have millions of dollars tax-free. So there is an advantage to going to college, except besides drinking beer and having fun, and that is saving, making money, and saving through a Roth IRA. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Really appreciate all the feedback, all the support. And I look forward to talking to everyone again next week.